Alrighty, so lately I've been rigging up this robot character I made and had to go through a couple different videos to figure out exactly how to IK rig for a robot. It's really not hard, but I thought I would just make it into one video with what I've learned, little tips and tricks, and how to do it. So, to get started with actually rigging your robot, once you have your general shape, and by general shape I mean your finished shape, for instance this arm, I'll just rig this arm quickly for you. You're just going to select the first joint in your arm, or whatever else, where you want your arm to rotate from, and you're going to press Shift S to bring up the 3D cursor menu, and you're going to go down to cursor to selected. You can press Shift A and add in an armature. And once you do that, personally I'd like it in front at all times, so you can always see it. You're then going to go to the second joint here, Shift S, cursor to selected. You're going to come to this bone, take this top bone, little ball here, and selection to cursor. And since this is at a 45-degree angle, I want to change the roll to 45 degrees so it lines up. And then you're going to do the same for this next bone. We're going to have roll 0. I just extruded it down, and I'm going to come to this joint here, Shift S, cursor to selected, selection to cursor, and everything is lined up. Alright, once you have all your bones in place, you're going to want one for your hand and fingers obviously, but it's just a demonstration. You're going to want to select the bones in which you want to be affected by each bone. So for instance, this bone right here, I want these objects to be parented to it. So you select those objects and then Shift select the armature, tab in edit mode, and you will see your bones. You're just going to select the bone in which you want it to be parented to, tab out of edit mode, press Control B, Control P, and hit bone. And that'll parent it to the bone. Just like this. You can press Control Tab to go into pose mode, and you can see it's working perfectly. When you're doing a lot of rigging, personally I like to create a quick favorite. So you can do that by pressing Control P, right click bone, and add it to your quick favorites, and you can just press Q and bone. And wow, it's really that easy. So once you have your arm all rigged up like I do here, if you want a line like I have here, you just change viewport display to stick. So to get that IK working, we're going to need to add 2 more bones to the rig. So if you tab into edit mode, you're going to want an elbow bone. So you just extrude this out of the elbow on the y-axis to make it straight. You're going to Alt-P to clear the parent, clear parent, and drag it backwards. How much you drag it backwards, you ask? Nobody knows apparently. You just drag it backwards an arbitrary amount and hope it works. And I'm not kidding. You're then going to take your wrist joint here and extrude that down. Just like this. Make sure it's longer than your actual hand bone. We're going to clear the parent of this. Make sure you clear the parent of this, or else everything will be messed up. You're then going to rename these 2 bones that we just made. And ideally, you should have all your bones named with .L or .R, so you can flip poses when animating and just general organization. So you can press F2 to bring up the rename menu. And we're going to name this hand IK.L and this to elbow IK.L, just like that. Okay, so once you have those renamed, you're going to come on over here to the forearm bone, and we're going to add a inverse kinematics bone constraint. You have to do this in pose mode. You get to pose mode from object mode by pressing Control Tab. And we're going to set the target of our IK to the armature you're using. This is, for instance, armature 002. Yours is hopefully named. And the bone we'll be using is the hand ik.l that we just used. And I just noticed I named it hank ik.l, but that's okay. And we're going to set the armature, or set pull target to armature, and set the bone to the elbow. Now you can see this is really rotated in a weird way, and that's okay because we're going to change the pull angle. For this, I know 90 degrees works, negative 90 might work for you. And now you might be seeing something horrendous on your rig. For instance, something just like this. Like that. And that's because your chain length. So if you see this yellow dotted line, you want it going to the last bone. So I only need a chain length of 2 in this. On this arm, you might need 3, you might need more. It's case by case basis. But this, I need 2. And after that, you can actually come here to the hand IK bone and move it around. And you can see, wow, it is working. Now, in reality, I don't have this axis lock, so if you can see, the whole point of a robot rig, is to have some sort of constraint on how it can rotate. For instance, this ball bearing weird thing I got going on here. So right now, it's just rotating however you'd like a human elbow. We can fix that really easily. Just select the forearm bone and lock the corresponding axis. For this, I already know it's Z, but trial and error will tell you which the correct axis is. Just like that. And now, if you see you rotate your hand IK, it does not rotate your hand bone. We can easily fix this by copying the rotation of the hand IK on the hand bone. So if you select the hand bone, I have a custom bone shape, and I'll show you how to do that in a few minutes. Select the hand bone and add a copy rotation to that. Same armature, and you're going to set the bone to the hand IK. Now you can see your hand is fixed, not only that, but now you can control your hand while rotating and move it. G to move, R to rotate. Look at that. You can move your elbow up and down, see what that does. And isn't that just beautiful? A little side tip here. These fingers, I might set up IK for them too, but right now they're just locked on one axis. You can easily do that by selecting the bone in pose mode, going to the bone constraints, and limiting the rotation. I have it limited on 2 axes, or axi maybe, I don't know, axes. And you can see I'm just pressing R right now, and it rotates perfectly. Set to local space. Make sure you set owner to local space so it's not globally rotating. And that's an arm. So for the leg, it's pretty much the same thing. You're going to take this knee bone, and I've been told by the professionals, okay, that you want to move your knee bone forward just a little bit. Same with the elbow action. But the knee, you just move it a little bit forward in edit mode. So Blender has an easier time figuring it out, I'd have to guess. So same concept here with your leg. You're going to extrude this forward though for the knee IK controller. And we're going to clear the parent of this, and we're going to move it forward. How much forward, you ask? Again, who knows? We're going to rename this knee IK .L. And same thing for the ankle. Extrude this backwards. And we're going to clear the parent of this, except it has no parent apparently, and we're going to rename it heel IK .L. And you're not going to move this one back. So now, Control Tab into pose mode, select this shin bone here. We're going to add a constraint. We're going to add an inverse kinematics. So you're going to set the target armature to the armature in which you're using. For this, it's armature 001 because, again, I duplicated, but it will be the same armature because you should be using one armature for your whole guy, theoretically. And you're going to set this to the heel ik.l. For the pull target, same armature, and we're going to set it for the knee, just like the arm. And just like the arm, it is absolutely destroyed. So just set the pull target or pull angle. For this, -90 worked, +90 worked for the arm. Just a little experimentation. And same thing with the chain. We want a chain of 2 or else it will not work. So once you move this, you see you're getting the same problem as we had with the hand. The IK is not controlling the foot bone. That's no problem though. We're going to tab into edit mode. We're going to select the foot bone, and we're going to shift select the heel bone. We're going to press Control P to parent it, keep the offset. Now if we go back into pose mode, you can see, wow, look at that. It is going. So now we've encountered another problem by doing this. It's great and all when you rotate it and move it up and down, but once you move it too low, the foot disconnects from the body. Again, luckily we can fix this just by adding a constraint to the foot. So select the foot, and we want to copy the location, not rotation, the location this time, same armature, of the shin. And we're going to set it to tail by setting this to 1. So now, when you move this too low, your foot does not disconnect from your body. And now, wow, look at that. The knee controls it as it should, and the heel controls it as it should. And again, this is already set up, but in theory, again, the point of a robot rig is the constraints in which you set. Yours might be looking like this. Same thing as before, we're just gonna lock the corresponding axes, and it should work as intended. And that's just about all, but custom bone shapes you're asking, and I will answer. It's really, really easy. Just to make it easier to select this hand IK bone, instead of hiding it, which you could do, I made a custom bone shape because it's cool. So to create a custom bone shape, you can use any sort of mesh you want. You could have anything, legitimately anything. But for me, I just wanted a simple curve. So I spawned in a curve, I scaled it down, moved it down, and scaled it in just like this. And then you go to your armature. You go to your bone in pose mode. You come down here to the bone properties, and under viewport display, you go to custom shape, and you just set it to this custom shape, to whatever you want it to be. And wow, it works perfectly. So yeah, it's quite powerful. Inverse kinematics, obviously. Makes animation a lot easier. And yeah, so hope you got something out of this. I was just experimenting, didn't see a lot on specifically robot. So yeah, hope you enjoyed. Thank you for watching, and that's all.